I've heard, I'm asking for your clarification on this. It feels like we all have a different sleep cycle. Like, I'm an early bird. My body does really well if I'm in bed asleep at 9 o'clock and I get up at between 4 and 4:30. I mean, that is ideal for me. Actually, 4:30 would be preferred. Um, but then some people are like, oh, I'm a night owl, and I feel like I do better. Is that true? Do we have our own built-in
Absolutely.
cycles?
Absolutely, 100%. Most people are somewhere in the middle. But yes, it's something called a chronotype. So some people are this early bird or morning larks, we sometimes call them. Their biology, their body clock, their circadian rhythm is one that works on an earlier schedule than somebody who is a night owl. So everything that goes on with your in your 24-hour body clock cycle, your circadian rhythm, the release of hormones, the different kind of your sugar regulation, your blood pressure
Mm,
regulation, it all happens in early birds at an earlier time of day and in night owls at a later time of day. So most people have a kind of, somewhere in the middle, but
mhm.
there are people who have an extremely early body clock, this kind of extreme morning lark type people, and there are people who have an extremely late one, the extreme kind of night owls. And your chronotype, your body clock, is something that's set genetically. It's
Mm,
you
okay.
inherit it from your parents. So most people who are early types will have at least one parent who was similar, and the
Mhm.
same for night owls. And what's really important is to get the best quality sleep and for the best kind of long-term health and well-being is trying to live your life in sync with your own body's natural circadian rhythm. That's the ideal way to do it. That's not always possible,
Right.
especially for night owls, because the society, the world expects them to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to get in to work or to get into school, and
Right.
so that can cause a lot of problems. And that's one of the reasons why people who are, especially extreme night owls, have higher rates of mental health problems and higher rates
Ooh.
of um, employment problems and don't do as well at school in general. Not all of them, but
Right.
when you look at them compared to morning types, there is a difference, and it's because society really has been designed for morning types by morning types.
True.
And so, yeah, it's absolutely a real thing. It's it's set by your biology. It does change as the age through your life.
Mhm.
So babies don't really have that circadian rhythm. That's why the newborn babies are awake at all hours of all hours of the night and day. Um, when you, as a child, it tends to be kind of early. When you go into teenage years, your circadian rhythm shifts later and later, and so this kind of, this stereotype of teenagers going to bed late and wanting to sleep in until midday, they're not being lazy. That is how their biology
Yeah.
pre-programs them. The kind of your circadian rhythm tends to kind of shift back to fairly normal times in early adulthood, and then as you get older and older, it tends to creep earlier and earlier. So
Mhm.
lots of kind of people in their elderly folk will enjoy going to bed earlier and getting up earlier.
Right.
So it's very much based on your biology and genetically programmed. You can do things to shift your body clock,
Mm.
particularly in terms of exposing yourself to bright light, which, I mean, we could do a whole podcast episode just on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But if you have a genetic tendency to be an early bird, you will naturally always kind of slip back towards being an early bird, even if you artificially shift your body clock. And the same for night owls. You'll have a tendency to slip back into that biological rhythm over time.
I'm glad you clarified that because I've actually had friends who are night owls, and they they say to me like it's a bad thing or that they're guilty of being a night owl. And I used to always say to them, it's not right or wrong, it's what your body does. And I'm glad you clarified that because some of us can be real hard on ourselves for, I get a lot of, ooh, you get up that early, and it's like, I
Yeah.
love the morning. I
I,
love it.